Hello there, beautiful, and welcome back to The Dark Alchemist. I am very, very excited for today's reading because we will look at your hero's journey in 2024. We are going to look at the call that gets you out of the house and up and moving on this new journey. We're going to look at the challenge that has been holding you back so far. We're going to look at the ordeal or the shadow energy that is lurking behind it all. We're going to look at the boon, basically your treasure, what you will uncover along this way. And we are also going to look at your return back home and how you might integrate these energies. If you're watching this after 2024 or, like maybe 6 months in or whenever, or a year in, please keep watching. This reading spread itself is timeless, meaning that it correlates to the new beginning that is on your personal doorstep right now. The New Year date is kind of a bit arbitrary anyway, and New Year's or new experiences are happening every single day. It's can be the change of a season. When a new season rolls around, there can be a new change. It can be when you are maybe changing a job or you're moving, or just you randomly decide one day that, okay, I've had enough of whatever I've had and it's time to make some changes. That itself as well is a new beginning and a new year. So this reading can apply to you whenever you are at your personal new year. All right. Before we get into this reading, I want to give full credit to this spread idea because it actually comes from the creator of this archetype deck, Krans. All right. In the guidebook, it is called the Heroine Journey. I'm going to refer to it as the Hero's Journey for the only purpose that heroine sounds like a substance that might get me flagged on YouTube. So that's the only reason why. And without further ado, let's hop into our reading. I'm so excited. This is such a cool idea for a spread. I love it. All right. Let's start this off by taking a couple of deep breaths, and then I want to light our intention candle for today. And I think it would actually be really nice to take this candle or infuse this candle with all of our best wishes and intentions for the upcoming year, for ourselves, but also for everyone else that is currently watching this and feels drawn to this reading, The best wishes that I'm going to put in there is going to be for you to have a year that is rich in experience and love and happiness, and just for you to experience the full depth that life has to offer. That's going to be my wish for you. And I'm going to already get ready here. But again, we're going to take a couple of centering breaths to get grounded in this moment for this reading. Take a deep breath in, please. And out. And take another deep breath in. And out, please. And take a deep breath in, please. And out. And now focus on your intention for the upcoming year. Lovely. Okay, let me add the crystals to your 3 piles, and then I'm going to show you what's going on. For pile number 1, we have the heart. For pile number 2, we have the village. For pile number 3, we have the box. The crystal for pile number 1 is this lovely piece of pyrite here. For pile number 2, we have this piece of moonstone. And for pile number 3, we have celestite. Just gonna hold it so my camera focuses. Alright, so these are our 3 piles for today. I'm gonna zoom in for you in a second and give you about a minute of meditation with some music so that you can take some time to see which pile or maybe piles you feel most drawn to. You'll find the timestamps in the description box down below, and I'll see you in your selected piles. If you felt drawn to the beautiful heart center card, then welcome, welcome, welcome to your reading, my beautiful pile number 1s. Let me share a bit about the structure of this reading first before we look into your hero's journey for this year. We have the call. This is the inspiration or the irritation that gets you up and moving and going on this new journey. We have the threshold, which is an energy that has been holding you back likely many times before from going on this journey. We have the ordeal, which is the shadow energy. It's basically the energy that is lurking underneath it all, that wants to be conquered, that wants to be worked through, etc. Once that is finished, that's why this is sort of like, the high point of our journey here. Once this ordeal has been appropriately dealt with, you have the boon. This is your reward, your treasure, what you're receiving from this journey. And let me also say that the boon is going to be mystical in nature. It's not about you will find $1 million somewhere lying around. It's going to be more about a skill that you learn along the way, a shift in energy, a new perspective. But shifting perspectives, etc., is what will eventually lead to the physical manifestation. So this is always at the beginning. This is the biggest boon that you can actually find because it predates anything happening on the external. And then the last card that we have here is about your return back home. This speaks about the integration of what you have learned and how this integration changes your life. So much for that. I'll also say I did ask for 1 card for you, but with the exception of this one, you always got 2 cards. But, it's like they always came out together as one message. With that said, let's have a look at this. We're gonna look at the first 3 to bring it together, and then we're gonna look at the last 2. So like I said, the call card for you is the heart. Then we have the threshold, so what has been holding you back. And we have the shapeshifter. And the shapeshifter card has been clarified with the mirror. So these 2 came out like this. And the ordeal is agape. And this came out together with the pilgrim. Let me actually take a moment and think about this, or feel my way into this is more like it. Okay, so one thing right off the bat, we have the heart as the call, and for the ordeal, which is, the shadow that's lurking, we have agape. And agape is the card of unconditional love. It's the card of devotion, and unconditional love. So with this heart center, or the heart card, I want to say heart center, with the heart center that's present as your call, which is basically the inspiration and or the irritation that gets you moving. It's really interesting to me because the guidebook also for the heart speaks about the heart being a physical place, or like imagining the heart center as a physical space that you can reside in. And when you're residing there, it's the throne of your own authenticity. It's the throne where you are self-compassionate, where you are giving yourself unconditional love, and you're also extending that unconditional love outwards, and it speaks about how this heart center, or this heart space, we are always connecting with a heart space when we are, for example, in the presence of animals or children, or when we're out in nature, just something that connects us back inwards very, very strongly. And this card also speaks about how there can be longer stretches of time where our heart center, or this throne in our heart, is basically vacant. And these times when it is vacant are times where our attention is pulled outwards very, very strongly. And not just pulled outwards, but it's pulled outwards and twisted all around. And there is a loss of self connected to that. It's not the loss of self, it's the sense of self. It's a feeling of disconnection. I feel disconnected from myself. That is this energy that this heart card, as your call, that what brings you on this new journey represents. It's this feeling of I am disconnected from myself. And as well, with this disconnection from yourself, there is this feeling of having an outside focus, like focusing on fulfilling your needs, for example, from the outside in rather than the inside out. We're going to speak a bit more about this when we're talking about the ordeal, because I'm getting a very strong message about this one already. But with this heart center and the attention being drawn outwards as well, there is almost a hardening of the heart center that is present for you at this time. And it's also because when your attention is drawn outwards so much and twisted around, and they're just showing me someone who is sort of blowing confetti everywhere, but it's not a happy kind of confetti. It's more like things are torn apart and spread into all of these little confetti thingies and just like blown everywhere. That's this image, It's not the celebration confetti. It's the scattered everywhere kind of confetti. That's the imagery that they're giving me. The energy that allows this to happen is the lower vibrational energies that are present all throughout our world and are pulling on your attention. It's things blowing up quite literally everywhere. We're talking about wars here, but we're also talking about, wars in general, but wars are on a bigger scale and also on a smaller scale. Bigger scale, for example, right at this moment when I'm filming this, could be the conflict in Israel and Palestine. That conflict is happening at the moment when I'm filming this, but war energy is itself also present in smaller things. It's present in every single disagreement between two people where the fronts are hardened and everyone is very, very strongly stating their opinion without even opening their minds up to accept that there is another perspective on this. It's not about being right or wrong. It's this hardening of the two energies that are coming together and are confronting one another without allowing the other one to live. in their experience. That's this kind of war energy that's present, and I feel like your energy is caught up in this kind of war energy in your own life. You know, and like interactions with other people, massively like interactions with other people. But that's what this like pulling the energy out, like tearing it apart and throwing it everywhere. That's this imagery that's connected to this war energy. And this war energy as well, there is a need for you to be right. There's a need for you to be right. So ego is at play here, okay? There's a need for you to be right. And it's particularly this need for you to be right that is getting things torn apart, like shredded apart, and blown everywhere. It's very difficult to describe this kind of energy and to talk about it, but let me give this my best shot. When I say that there is a need for you to be right, there is a need for others to share your perspective. And the thing is, there are people who are sharing your perspective, but not necessarily in your immediate surroundings. There needs to be a softening. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna look into that as well. But there needs to be a bit of softening on that front, first and foremost, where you can allow others to have their perspectives and allow others to have their own opinions and experiences, as much as you want that for you as well, right? It's like a double-edged sword here. It's allowing yourself to have your experience and validating your experience by yourself, as well as allowing others the same thing. You know, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about two perspectives just coexisting. Because whether or not you're right or wrong depends on your own perspective. You know, you have your reasoning, you have your experiences that validate your opinions, experiences, etc., and someone else does not. They really wanted me to touch on the war energy straight away. All right, I'm going to move on a bit, but I'm sure this will come back at some point. With the threshold here, the shapeshifter and the mirror. Okay, already they wanted me to speak a bit more about this war energy. So the threshold is basically the very energy that stops you from moving ahead, the very thing that keeps you in place. And it's not a new energy that's keeping you in place. It's an energy that has been holding you back and keeping you in place for a really, really long time, you know? So it's like each time that you've gotten basically this call to reconnect with your heart, something on the external or internal happens and it keeps you in place where there is this feeling of disconnection. With the card of the shapeshifter and the mirror, this is really interesting to me because it's like they're giving me an image. And the image that they're giving me is that you are trying, and goes back to this perspective. You are going out there wanting to share a perspective, wanting to share from yourself, like you in your connected heart space, you want to share that. And the mirror, basically, like the imagery or the energy that is mirrored back to you, is so contrary to what you thought you put out or what you put out there. And there's this feeling of why even bother trying to connect with someone else, you know? It's like you think you're coming from a place of unconditional love and that's how you're going out there, and what you're receiving back is the opposite of that. So it's conditional love. It's instead of peaceful energy, it's fight energy, it's war energy. And it's this feeling of, I cannot get past this. It's like, it's too painful to put myself out there. It's too painful to share because like all you've ever received is this. At the same time, this has become a fear of yours. There's this fear of once you are putting yourself out there that you will encounter more and more shapeshifters. It's basically people where you thought in the beginning you were like, okay, they're cool. I can share with them, they're safe people, and it turns out they were not safe people. So there's also this fear that once you share, etc., that you will encounter more of this like shapeshifter energy, and yeah, it's like this like super heavy energy mirrored back to you. That's quite interesting. So that's something that has been holding you back. And I will say one thing right off the bat. It is a fear as much as it was a lived experience for you. And what I mean by that is that I understand where this fear of yours is coming from, because I can see that in your past, once you have gone out, this is what you have attracted. So this is what you have experienced. You have shared unconditionally with an open heart, and in return, you have been like torn to shreds, and this feeling of this, like all of the bits and pieces of yourself thrown everywhere. This is something that has happened for you in several relationships. There has been a bit of a cycle going on when it comes to this. And when I say relationships as well, this is on a romantic scale, but this is also friendships professionally, this is kind of an energy that runs throughout your life like a red thread. Okay, so I understand where this fear is coming from. However, there is a massive change here. I mean, you are going on this journey to transmute these energies, because you also need to understand that when this energy returns to you, it only returns to you because the outside world is mirroring what's inside to a degree. So parts of this kind of war energy are inside of yourself, and what you're attracting on the outside is mirroring that, So there's a bit of healing work to do there. And because of your past experiences, there's this fear that once you go out there, this is going to happen again. But the more that you heal, and you have already been working on this, I can tell you've worked a lot on this, and I can tell, and I feel it in your energy, because otherwise you would not have this kind of wish to reconnect. If you didn't do the kind of healing work, or if you haven't done any kind of healing work, you would not even feel the desire to want to go out there and reconnect. You would not have this kind of longing. So that already is an indicator for you that you have done work on this. And your spirit guides want me to tell you that they're very proud of you for that. They've seen all of the tears, and I'm also getting a bit teary-eyed right now. They've seen all of the tears, like all of the breakdowns, all of the struggles, all of the broken hearts, all of the disappointment. Oh my God, the disappointment that's connected to this. Because it feels like there was this hope that got you going, and you felt good, and you felt light, and you felt airy, and you felt loving, and then there was just, the drop back down, like straight rock bottom, basically. It's almost like feeling like you're lifted up, and then you just get dropped like this, kind of like this. I'm going to turn the sound down for the drop down, because that was loud. But that's kind of this imagery that they're showing me when it comes to this, and they know you've done a lot of work on that. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you change on the internal, what you are attracting on the external also changes. So this attraction of shapeshifters, or this kind of heavy energy, is more of a fear now. It's not going to be the reality. It's the fear of that happening again that's keeping you in place, which I understand. It's a protection mechanism that you are working with here right now. It's like, if I'm by myself, like I know who I am, I know what I can do, I know what I can expect. I got myself, it's peaceful, like more or less peaceful, depending on where you are on this journey, etc. But that's this kind of energy, and it's like the fear of someone coming in and messing you up. And it's like, I've just put myself back together again, you know, I feel okay about myself. I just put myself back together again. I can't handle something like this again. I can't do it anymore. It's that kind of feeling, but this feeling is rooted in the fear of that happening again. And what's in the past is in the past. It's not going to repeat itself in the same way, which brings me to the ordeal, which is the shadow energy, the energy that lurks underneath this journey. Very interesting, because we have unconditional love and devotion and the pilgrim. And who is the pilgrim? The pilgrim is someone who goes on a journey to connect to unconditional love. It's someone who goes on a journey to find some kind of sacred knowledge, to encounter themselves very deeply. And it's someone who is walking, right? Pilgrimage is walking. Someone who is walking and searching, walking, searching. There is this search of unconditional, excuse me. There is this search of unconditional love and devotion, but it's happening on the external rather than the internal. There is the search on the outside of yourself for this deep longing of your heart of connecting to unconditional love outside of yourself. But you see, the thing is, like I said, this is a shadow energy. That's not how it works. It works from the inside out. It works through an inner pilgrimage and connecting to this unconditional love inside of yourself, from yourself, by yourself, and for yourself. And it's this inner pilgrimage, this inner journey of going deeper and deeper into your own unconditional love. And once this shadow energy of looking at it from, that's exactly what it is. The shadow energy is looking to find unconditional love on the external, and the light energy of this is to reconnect to the unconditional love on the internally. So this is the ordeal. This is the challenge, to pull the focus from the outside to the inside and extend that unconditional love to yourself. And like I said, they have acknowledged that you have done a lot of work on this. And it's a shift in manifestation technique. It's a shift in attraction that we're talking about here. And I also want to speak about a little bit about unconditional love, or cultivating unconditional love within yourself, because it kind of sounds like an abstract like an abstract thing to say for me, to find unconditional love within yourself, but it is actually very practical. It's very, very grounded advice when you dive into it a bit. What does it mean to love yourself unconditionally? It means to take care of yourself and handle yourself with unconditional love, compassion, devotion, and care. And that means when you had a day where maybe you fought with somebody, or you had a day where you made a mistake, instead of beating down on yourself, you are extending a compassionate hand towards yourself. You are telling yourself, I know I've had a rough day. I know I've made this mistake, but I will take care of myself regardless. What can I do to make myself feel loved? I can maybe stretch a bit because my body feels all of this tension. Maybe in my case, I'm going to do a little bit of EFT tapping, to release some of that stagnant energy or this pinned up energy from my body. Maybe I'm going to put a Reiki video on and receive some Reiki healing. Maybe I'm going to cook myself a nourishing meal or one of my comfort meals. Maybe I'm going to draw myself a bubble bath. Maybe I'm going to do some journaling. Maybe I'm going to go for a walk, etc. You get the gist. It's this kind of feeling of what makes you feel comforted, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel like you are well taken care of, and then extending that energy to yourself on every given day, but especially on days where you feel the tendency to self-abandon, especially on days where you feel the tendency of looking for that kind of energy on the external. Those are the most important days for you to extend that energy inside of yourself. I need to take a sip of my tea for a second here. So that is what this ordeal, what this shadow energy is all about. That is the challenge for you to work through. To bring that to the internal and to extend this softness to yourself. I don't know if you can tell, but probably you can tell more than me. But as I started to speak about this, there is such a softness coming through, like from the energy from your spirit guides, and I also can hear it in my own voice, which makes me laugh a bit. I'm sorry. It's only because I started to notice it as I spoke that there's so much softness that wants to come through when it comes to this. It's like being really, really soft and understanding with yourself. Allowing yourself to nap, allowing yourself to slow down, allowing yourself to take it easy for a bit and just focus on yourself. And you will know when that time is there. You will know when you're hitting a time where you feel like you would like to receive this energy from the external. And as I'm saying that, I'm also drawn to the imagery itself, where you see there, like from both ends, there are candles, like coming together and meeting at the end, like from one point, I can't speak anymore, from one end to the other, and like igniting each other or coming together in the middle. And the thing is, to receive unconditional love, you also need to give unconditional love. And when it's coming from this pure place of you igniting and keeping your own flame going, that's what you're going to attract right back. And basically, like, this imagery is what I want to say. Like, this imagery that's depicted here is going to be at the end of your journey as well. Because once you learn how to do that, what you're going to match or what you're going to attract is someone who has the same. All right. So let's have a look at your boon, although we briefly touched on that already, and we're going to look at the return back home. So your boon is a card of Gnosis, and this was supported by the riddle. Oh my god, I love this so much. All right, and then for your return back home, we have the card of the ring. And we have the ring supported by the storm. So your boon that's depicted here as a result of this journey and working through the threshold, like stepping over the threshold and working your way through the ordeal, is it's so beautiful. We have the complete dissolving of the past issue. There is a complete healing of this past energy. I say that, Gnosis speaks about knowledge, it speaks about mystic truths, and you see here how there is this bird like flying, like almost it's in a spiral, right? Like it comes from down and it goes higher and higher and higher. And with the card of the riddle is an energy that speaks about something being unsolvable. It's just when you look at the image, it's basically also where does the snake begin or end? You can't, it doesn't exist. And it's this energy of you are no longer going to be in a place where you will ever meet someone who, first of all, treats you this way, and you will never ever ask yourself, why can I not find someone who unconditionally loves me? It's going to be completely solved. And the reason it's going to be completely solved is because you already have one person in your life that loves you unconditionally, and it is you. And this is basically the start and end point of that journey. Like I said, yes, it will be reflected back to you from the external. There will be new friends, romantic partners coming in, new professional relationships, etc. And this feeling or this energy of unconditional love is rippling out throughout all of your life. Every area of your life will be touched by this. And because of that, like this riddle that you have been working through so much, and like I said, there's this feeling of like, why is this happening? Why can I not meet someone like this? Why is this always blowing up in my face? And the reason that it has been blowing up in your face is because the core lesson was for you to extend that energy to yourself first. Everything else follows, but that's the most important aspect. And this riddle or this question will no longer be relevant in your life whatsoever. Completely solved. And you will see it in your physical as well. It's not I'm not just saying it's not going to matter to you anymore, but it's going to be a lived experience for you, that this question will no longer matter for you. It's no longer be relevant whatsoever. And that's like a huge boon, actually, like a huge gift. Because like I said, from this energetic standpoint, once this is locked and loaded and like locked down, like truly centered in yourself, and you are sitting in this throne of your own heart, in the center, everything else on the external will slowly, of course, because we are living in this physical world, but things are coming in one by one by one by one, and this is going to be a starting point for your entire life changing. And we got mystic truths here with the gnosis, and that's exactly how it's going to be like. You go on this journey, you resolve this, everything changes. Synchronicities, front, left, right, center, up, down. So much support coming in from the universe to mirror back this journey that you've been through, this evolution that you've been through. Complete life change. So that's the boon. And then we have the integration, the journey back home. There is a promise with this ring. There is a promise with this ring. I'm not going to lie with you. With the storm energy, once you start to change yourself in this way, there will be some conflict. Okay? Once you try to integrate that more into your life, because there are energies in your life, I'm talking particularly about family, for example, that are always there. Whether we like it or not, they are present. And if they have been meeting you from a perspective of conditional love, and you change that, and by the way as well, you changing that and you giving this unconditional love to yourself also means that the energies and relationships that you are accepting into your life are also grounded in unconditional love. Meaning, if someone comes along and offers you less than that, you will not take it, because what's the point? That's a downgrade for you, because you're already filled up on unconditional love. Okay, I forgot to say that beforehand, but that is the true like evolution, the true up level that is happening here. If you're meeting someone who gives you less, there will be conflict. And like I said, when it comes to family, once you address that, it's a bit challenging. There can be some conflict, but first of all, storm is there for a while and then it leaves again. It's a shorter period of time when something is there. And after the storm, have you ever been outside? Probably after a thunderstorm, and it's like in summertime after a thunderstorm, and you go outside, The air smelled so clean and so fresh, and everything is so quiet and, starting to pick up. And there is this cleansing effect happening that goes alongside this up level in standards. There is a cleansing happening as part of the integration process of you bringing this energy and grounding this energy, bringing it back home. I'm not saying that everyone is going to fall out of your life, because that's not the case, but I will say that there will be changes to your relationships. You will find your ways, don't worry about it. You will find ways to have people in your life in the extent that is good for you. That means setting some boundaries where boundaries need to be set. That means also separation if separation might be necessary. But that also means that other people will be there to meet you where you're at. So other people might up level as well and see how well you're taking care of yourself, for example, and see how much you start to glow as a result of that. And they will also subtly start to change the energy, because we are all connected. Okay, so don't worry about the storm. It's going to be about the cleansing. There's going to be a cleansing process as part of the integration. And with the ring here, like I said, this promise, when you look inside the ring, there's the universe inside of this, right? You see that? Part of your integration is going to be allowing things to fall away that need to fall away, so that the universe can bring you what you deserve as a result of that. What you deserve for your unconditional love. I mean, the imagery of the ring, even when we're thinking about relationships and we're thinking about marriage, for example, as an ideology, this idea of a marriage is two people coming together filled with unconditional love, that are coming together in devotion and want to devote their lives towards each other. I need to change my battery. I'll be right back. Like I said, it's the two people coming together in unconditional love. Part of this integration of allowing things to fall away, each time you're allowing something to fall away, you are creating space, and you're creating space for something new to come in, something that matches your energy. This is a promise from the universe that your energy will be matched. Part of your integration will be this complete life change of people coming in, connecting to places, and things coming together in such a way to mirror your unconditional loving energy. That is abundance all around, prosperity all around, fulfilling relationships, fulfilling job. I'm not saying that by the end of this 12 months, everything will be already in your life, but I am saying that as you start to allow things to leave your life, new things are coming in. You will start to see this by the end of the 12 months. Allow things to get better and better and better. That's what we're talking about with this promise ring here. Okay. So my beautiful pile number ones, that is your journey for the upcoming year. I do want to pull one last card that I will read from the guidebook, because this is like a very, very big energy journey over 12 months. And I wanted to give you a closing message more about right now, something that you need to hear right now. And I pre-shuffled these already off camera, and we're going to pull them together. So my beautiful spirit guides of my lovely pile number ones, what closing message do you have for them? Just please give me one card. Okay, now. Oh my God. Wow, this is the softest energy that I could have pulled from this deck, I feel like. We have the Rose Garden with innocence, forgiveness, be gentle with yourself. I'm going to read this from the guidebook for you. By the way, are some of you almost crying at the moment? Like very, I feel like a very, but it's like a soft, like it's a sweet kind of crying, you know, it's like an emotional, feeling emotionally attached, I will say, because I feel that right now from you. Anyway, I would give you a big hug if I was there in person, just so you know that. Right. The Rose Garden. Innocence, forgiveness, be gentle with yourself. You're holy and whole. You're innocent and innately good. You're wholly welcome here. You never got locked out of the garden. None of us did. This card delivers a message of welcomeness, of returning to our innocence. If you feel as if you've done something wrong without knowing what you've done, if you feel ashamed about hurting someone, if you're finding it hard to forgive yourself, this card is gently calling you to release any shame, judgment, or bad feelings. You do what you need to do to let go and make amends, to remember that you're human. And as a human, you're here to learn and to grow, and so is everyone else. You're not broken. You never were. You are a work in progress. We all are. You're learning and unlearning. We all are. Be gentle with yourself and in turn be gentle with others. Return to your humanity, your humanness. Remember that you were never perfect and being human is not about perfection. Grow and learn, but do it softly. You have goodness in you. Remember that. Cherish that. And cherish that in others too. We're all doing the best we can. When we learn, we can choose to do something new. Commit to learning and doing better each and every day. This is what it means to be human. To embrace our humanness. Without it, we deny the shadow. And it's through facing the shadow, without defense, that we can learn and grow. Embrace your humanity and you'll find it easier to embrace others and the whole world. Soul inquiry. How can you be more gentle with yourself? And I feel like this is the perfect place to leave your reading. How can you be more gentle with yourself? Now, as a little closing message, this perfectly encapsulates what we've talked about in this reading. There will be 2 extra resources coming your way to support you on this journey. The first one will be an EFT tapping session to help you release any uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, and memories you might have. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment for the new year, or your personal new year whenever you're watching this. It's going to come out later this week or next week. If it's out already, you can find it in the pinned comment down below. And that is all I have for you today. Have a beautiful rest of your day today and take care of yourself. Bye. If you felt drawn to the beautiful village card and or the moonstone, welcome to your reading, my pile tools. And before we get into the reading, I just want to quickly talk a little bit about the structure. So we're going to look at your hero's journey in 5 parts. We have the village, which is a representation of the call. The call is basically the inspiration, can also be the irritation that gets you going on this journey. It's the one thing that makes you want to go and walk outside of the door. That's the call. We have the card of the threshold. The threshold speaks about the number one thing that has been holding you back, or is holding you back and has been holding you back in the past. This is something that you have like an edge that you have brushed up against many times and have allowed it to hold you back. We have the ordeal, which speaks about the shadow energy. So this is basically the shadow energy that is lurking underneath it all, the underlying thing that wants to be healed and released. We have the boon, of course, the treasure that you will uncover throughout this journey or what will come after you've dealt with the ordeal. And let me also make this quite clear. The ordeal card is not about a physical manifestation, and it's not going to be that you're going to find $1 million necessarily. It's more about the energetic reward, and the energetic reward always predates the manifestation, right? So you change your energy from the inner, you upgrade your limiting beliefs, etc. The outside world will reflect that back to you. So while we're not talking about the physical manifestation of that in this yet, it is the thing that comes before the manifestation. But this is what is necessary for you to even allow it into your life and for you to receive that. All right. And then the last card that we have here is about the return back home. Because after you've been on this journey and you come back home, there is a process of integration, integrating this journey into your life and what's going on with this. So with that said, let us look at the first 3 cards, and then we will look at these 2 later. So for the call, we have the card of the Village. I will show it to you again for a moment. For the card of your Threshold, we have the card of the Seed. And when I pulled this card, or after I pulled this card, I heard the words of potential. And then we have, as the ordeal, so the shadow that's lurking, we have the card of the Temple. Let me take a moment and sit with these energies for a bit. Let's start this off by talking a little bit about the call, about the Village card first. Because the Village is an energy that can embody a light and a shadow energy. With your call, we're focusing on the shadow energy of that. And the shadow energy of the Village is basically feeling restricted. It's a small village where everybody knows everybody's business and people are very nosy, small-minded as well, like closed-minded as well. And there is a feeling of feeling restricted by your immediate environment, by the group that surrounds you. There's a feeling of irritation there, a feeling of I can't allow myself to grow in the way that I need to in this environment. That is the irritant that is guiding you, or that is the irritant that is the inspiration for you to go on this new journey. So with the other 2 cards, with the Seed and the Temple, it is actually quite interesting to me because the Temple, with the ordeal, we're getting a bit of clarification for the kind of community that they want to speak of, your guides. That's why I'm already referring back to it. And the Temple speaks about a very strict, either religious group or a spiritual group, or it can even just be a group where there is a very particular mindset, a very particular way of seeing the world, seeing things, how things should be done, could be done, need to be done, like very, very strict guidelines when it comes to this that are being taught. And that's basically this representation of the Village. That is this that is the energy that the Village here represents as well. So there is a wish to leave that. Now let's talk a little bit about the Threshold, about the very thing that is holding you back. And remember how when I talked about the Seed, that the word I heard was potential. I heard potential, and I heard also, when does it focus? Okay. And I also heard being afraid of the potential. There is a fear of your own potential that you are actually holding. There is a fear of It's difficult to put this into words for me. There is a lot of fear surrounding the topic of what would happen if I would if I would succeed. If I were to succeed in creating and leaving and creating, there is a lot of fear surrounding that kind of potential. It's like you put an upper limit on what is okay for you to achieve and what is okay for you to create. You put an upper limit there, and this upper limit there, this limiting belief, stems from this, either, like I said, a religious group, or from this mindset of what is possible, what is not possible. There is a limiting factor surrounding this. And particularly this fear of being successful in creating whatever you allow yourself to dream of, when you allow yourself to dream of it. Exactly that fear of success is what is holding you back and keeping you in place. Now, I will say that this fear of success is not something that you just randomly decided yourself one day. You know, it's not like one day you were like, okay, listen, I know I'm actually kind of powerful and I could certainly do that, but I'm just going to keep in place. I'm just going to freeze myself in place because I just feel like it. Let me be very clear about this, because this fear of your potential did not start with you. It was something that you have picked up from your immediate surroundings. Remember how I spoke about this kind of religious group and there being, like I said, a religious group, not religious group. To make it easier, I'm just going to say religious group from now on, okay? So save a little bit of time. But this group with these very, very strong beliefs, they have seen your potential very, very clearly from a moment in time when you were very, very young, because there was a very unique way in which you learned, in which you progressed, in which you thought about things, the kinds of questions that you asked. It's not just the question that you asked, but also the way in which you asked them, which showed a lot of potential, a lot of intelligence, and already from a very young age, a sort of deeper understanding of how things could be in this life and in this world. And your guides are saying that early on in life, there was some past life wisdom basically coming through you already. You know, it's not something that you need to remember or you need to be conscious of it. It's not about that. It's more so that as children, the veil between this life and other lives is especially thin, I will say, for all of us. And sometimes you will also find children remember parts of their past life, or remember where they were before they came here, etc. And it's like, this kind of ability or this kind of energy was very strong in you when you were young. And the people surrounding you saw that, but because the people surrounding you, your caretakers, etc., are also part of this kind of religious group, or this group with this very strong particular mindset, they stifled you. They made you afraid of that kind of potential. They made you afraid of those beliefs. They made you afraid of that kind of universal truth that all of us are little facets, droplets of consciousness that are just reborn. We come from different places. Some come from here, but you know, the universe at large. I'm not telling you anything new right now. I know that you're nodding at this moment. We are reincarnating in different places, etc., right? And you had this awareness of that, and it's not in line with what has been taught. It's not in line with the kind of dogma and the kind of belief system that the people surrounding you have adopted themselves, because for them there is only one truth, and that truth is not yours. Your guide said it exactly like this. There is just one truth, and this truth is not yours. So basically there is this feeling of you are wrong for that. You are wrong for that. And there is an inner conflict, or there was a huge inner conflict. You've already started to resolve that quite a bit, I will say, because you have this kind of seed, this potential in yourself for a reason. And there was a period in your life where you massively doubted that, and you massively doubted whether or not that can be real. And you've had some experiences that reveal to you that actually no, past lives exist, and it's possible that there are more belief systems, and it's okay for me to develop my own. And you have been developing your own underneath the surface. You have not shared it with others, at least not a lot, like very, very few safe people that you tend to engage with when it comes to these topics. It's mostly more so in the realms of the internet that you allow yourself to be seen in this way, which is perfectly understandable given the structure that we already touched on, and we haven't even looked at their ordeal yet. But this energy is coming out so strongly that I just want to say I completely understand why this fear of your potential is present. It makes sense looking at the upbringing that you've had. Naturally, you're afraid of your potential. Naturally, you're afraid of leaving that kind of environment, because when you are in any kind of environment where the sentiment is that there is only one opinion that is right and everyone else is wrong, maybe stupid or crazy, or everyone needs to adjust to that one truth, I will say, just the one and only truth that there is from their perspective. There is always an amount of control exerted over everybody else. And there is a fear instilled within you and everyone else in this community to even just step one toe out of line. And if we're talking about religious groups, the punishment that goes alongside this, depending on what your religion is, can be incredibly severe, all the way to death. So this fear is used as a manipulation tactic to keep everyone in line, which from a moral standpoint and like an energetic standpoint, I heavily disagree with all of that, with practices that are centered around that. I have no problem with religion whatsoever. It's fine. But when fear tactics are used to keep people in a place of stagnation and in a place of control, I heavily disagree with that. Little side tangent from me, because I don't like that energy at all. I don't like that energy at all. But again, this is why this fear of your potential and the fear of success is present in you, because there is this fear on the one hand of, if I allow to succeed, or if I allow myself to succeed and maybe leave this group and create a life or create a business surrounding my actual beliefs, I will lose a lot of people. I will lose a lot of support. I will lose a lot of, basically I will lose the entire world in the way that I've known it. So is there, underlying this fear of success is a fear of a loss of identity and a loss of, it's like fear of abandonment, actually. Fear of abandonment is the best way to describe that as well. That's underneath the surface of this fear of your potential. But again, understandable that the fear of potential is there. I'm actually getting a book recommendation for you already. I don't know the full title, but I will put it in the description box for you. And it's a book by Gay Hendricks, and it talks about genius and the limiting beliefs that we can put on ourselves to limit what we are allowing ourselves to to achieve in our life. Like basically, how good are we allowing our lives to get is based on this limiting beliefs that we have. You know, it can be, I'm allowing myself, I am allowing myself, basically, I am allowing myself to be incredibly abundant when it comes to my money, but poor in my relationships. You know, it's like all of these factors coming into play, and I think this might be a good book for you to check out along your journey, to notice these little tendencies, because there will be self-sabotage along the way of you limiting what you're allowing into your life, like how much goodness you are allowing into your life. Remember, we already spoke about this in the beginning, that there is a cap, there is a limit. So part of this journey of yours will be to continually release this cap and move it up and move it up and move it up, you know, to eventually allow yourself unconditional abundance in all areas of your life, unconditional love in all areas of your life. But for now, we're starting small. We're starting with the first seed. But anyway, this is the threshold. And again, in the beginning, I said that this threshold is a representation of an energy that you have been running up against many times in your life. To bring this a bit more into the tangible realm, because this was a bit more abstract, how this looks like in a day-to-day life could be something like stopping yourself, having an idea, wanting to create something, wanting to do something, stopping yourself along the way, abandoning the project altogether, telling yourself before you even start that it's not going to work out, telling yourself that you can't do that, or possibly sharing that with others, and others are mirroring back that this is not possible for you to do. So you either believe them and don't start at all, or you start and you self-sabotage heavily along the way to the extent that the end result will mirror this belief that it was not possible after all. So that could be launching businesses, allowing it to grow a little bit and then it plummeting, or launching businesses and not feeding the business the appropriate energy, or yourself not taking care of yourself. So you start to become very stressed, very frazzled, and the decisions that you're making based on that when you are not in your best energy are allowing everything to fall down. You know, it's that kind of energy that is present more in the tangible realm when it comes to this. Like, so stopping yourself, not doing what you know deep down would be the best thing to do, etc. Okay, let's move on to the ordeal. With the ordeal, this is the underlying shadow, it's the underlying shadow energy of what's holding you back. And we already, all right. How did that happen? I don't have any idea. Anyway, so it belongs to the potential, clearly. Wow, I don't think that ever fell out of my hands like that. I think I need to play that back when I edit this. I'm probably gonna laugh at myself. So, sorry. Okay, so with your ordeal, and the shadow energy of what's holding you back with this temple card, we already spoke about this, right? This is about either a religious group or a specific kind of, I say but a religious group always has a specific kind of mindset and specific kind of rules on how to behave and what is acceptable to do, what is not acceptable to do, right? And this kind of, I'm just going to say mindset, and the guidelines of this mindset are not only present in religious groups, but they are present basically in every single group that exists on Earth. There's always things that are acceptable, things that are not acceptable, and you know, it can be, depending on the group, it can be a very, very narrow framework, or it can be a very wide framework. I will also say that, because not everyone is in this like controlling kind of energy. But because of your upbringing, there are certain beliefs, mindsets, guidelines, rules, etc. that are present and active in your psyche and in your mind. And also heavily present in your subconscious. Subconscious really is the key word here for this, Because if you start hearing these kinds of messages from a very, very early age, they seep into your subconscious and guide everything that you're creating. You know, even when you're starting to break out of this, even with this like self-sabotage that can happen if you start to do something different, these limiting beliefs are the very thing that through your subconscious guide you through the self-sabotage, because there is a rift in your personal identity. Basically, when you try to do something new, something completely different that goes against the morals that you have or against your self-image, your psyche and your mind will not allow you to succeed with that. So in order to keep you in line, there is a self-sabotage. And that is the ordeal. That is what you are dealing with. This is the shadow energy. To find these limiting beliefs, to find these kind of thought patterns, these guidelines, and also, very important, find out which kind of sabotaging behaviors you are using. So, like I said, with this group, in the beginning, it may be that you are surrounded by this group, in this group, but it's not necessarily the case. It can just be that you moved someplace else, but these energies are still present with you. You know, you don't need to be physically surrounded by these people in order to still have a similar inner self-talk or hear their voices because you know them so well. You know, so please keep that in mind, that physically moving is not the end-all be-all solution to this. It goes much, much deeper than that. And this is the ordeal, to bring this shadow up to the light, to find these limiting beliefs, and then to naturally release them, shift them, move through them, to allow yourself to be successful, to follow through with whatever you want to follow through. That is the energy of the temple. And I mean, it fell right back on the seed, right, with the potential. What is limiting your potential? What kind of beliefs are limiting your potential? How are you limiting yourself? What do you think is possible for yourself to do? What is one thing that you always wanted to do or that you want to do right now that you have not started? And why have you not started them? And if something comes up like, I want to start my own business, but I don't have the financial resources, dig a little bit deeper, because financial resources is one thing, but there are lots of other things, lots of other information that you can start to gather and work on without having financial resources. There are lots of strategizing, lots of decisions that go in before financial support is necessarily even there. And I feel like you want to create something, but you haven't created it. But you're carrying the seed within yourself. And you have not allowed yourself, like you have not even dared yourself to dream. You haven't even dared yourself to go there a lot mentally. So ask yourself, why is that and what's coming up, and then start releasing what's coming up. And a little side note on how to release that, there are many different ways of releasing limiting beliefs and limiting factors. I mean, I'm biased, naturally, but one of my favorite ways to release something like this is EFT tapping. Because like EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and when we're tapping, we are gently tapping with our fingertips on the emotional, or like on the key major. When we are tapping gently on the major acupuncture points of the body. And this allows our bodies to basically go into a state where we feel safe to address and access the subconscious and release from our body. And this talks about stored emotions, stored memories in the body that started when you were very, very young, that are still, driving the way that you are moving through your life right now. And EFT is a perfect technique to release this, to bring up some memories, to release it. But even when the memories are coming up, it's vastly different to therapy, for example, because therapy, you're going in it, you're looking at every angle, and there's a potential of like reliving this kind of experience. EFT tapping is literally just releasing the emotions that the emotional charge of this memory, the emotions that you still have right here in this moment about what happened back then. Because that is the difficulty when it comes to self-sabotaging, limiting yourself, etc., is that you are right here in this present moment. You are doing something that triggers an old memory, which means that the feelings that you are experiencing now are feelings that you had back then. So you feel as if you were in the past, even though you are in the present from an emotional level. Once you resolve these emotions from the past, it's just a memory, so you can basically move forward freely with what you know now, because it's no longer relevant. And that's like one very, very powerful technique. And I feel like financial resources are an important topic for you because it kept coming up again. Let me reiterate. You do not need to go to a practitioner to start doing this kind of work. And I say that as a practitioner myself, okay? There are so many resources on YouTube, so many channels that you can go to find help with this, to find free tapping videos to tap alongside and start doing this kind of work. I will leave one channel down below for you in the description box, and I will also leave a manual from EFT International that is great for learning how to tap by yourself. Naturally, if something very spicy comes up, etc., it's always nice to go to a practitioner and to be guided through that. And just in general, if you do have the resources, it's always nice to do that, because also it's uncomfortable to go to these places. And let me tell you from personal experience, if you have someone there that guides you through that, there is no hiding from that. Okay? You will work your way through that. And that's not to say that it's done harshly or with force, not at all, but we do tend to have some avoidance surrounding particular topics. And, having someone there that's like, okay, let's do one more round on this, can sometimes be very helpful. And again, like I said, you can start tapping on that already. Actually, I'm going to not only leave a channel down below for you, but I'm going to leave one video about how to stop stopping yourself, one tapping video from that channel down below for you, because I really feel like you could benefit from that. But with that said, let's look at the boon and at your return back home, shall we? So you got 2 cards for both of these. They came out as one message though. So we have the card of the King. Love that. And this was supported by the ocean. Wow. Oh my God, I love this so much. Before we even look at the other cards, let me tell you why I love that so much. Because the ocean is a card that represents the subconscious. You are the king of your subconscious. Will no longer be, the self-sabotage, etc. It's not going to be in the self-conscious. Even when in the subconscious. Self-conscious? Interesting. Anyway, I wanted to say subconscious, but we're going to go with self-conscious in a moment. You see how in the ocean there is the eye. So you see, you're developing throughout this, you're developing the capability and the skill to be able to look into the subconscious, to look at what's lurking underneath and bring it up to the surface. And with self-consciousness as well, it's like you will gain a lot of confidence from doing this kind of work. Not just because you're allowing yourself to go after what you want, but more importantly, you will arrive at a place where you know that if you hit a limitation, if something like this would come up again in your life, you have the necessary tools to transmute that. And that's why this subconscious and self-conscious is no longer scary. That's why the potential is no longer scary in that sense, because you know whatever comes up, you can resolve it, you can move forward, you're free to go ahead. You got this like reign of the emotions, because the ocean is also a symbol for the emotions, and you are the King of Cups here. Quite literally, the King of Cups came out for you from this deck that does not have that, right? And with the king here, we're speaking about the inner authority, and I find it interesting how in this card we have the circle here, and then sort of like the ripple effect outward, right? But it's not touching the pearl, right? It's not coming from the pearl like a swirl, but it's more so the energy that is surrounding the pearl and circling inwards. And then we have the king who is shining from the inside out. So this is the best description actually for this kind of hero's journey that you're on, is that you will transition from this kind of energy of like, you know, your energy is a bit smaller or feels a bit smaller because everyone else is surrounding that and sort of like keeping it in these confines, in this space, towards you just shining bright outwards from your own space of authority, your own sovereignty. That's the energy here, the inner authority of you and, your inner authority over you and your life and how you want to move and who you want to have in your life as well, the environments that you're bringing yourself into and the way that you're staying there and interacting there, etc. It's this complete independence when it comes to this. Sovereignty is really the best word for me to describe that. By the way, it is a very powerful place to be in a place where the subconscious no longer has you in a chokehold, because you know whatever's there, you have the awareness to see it, and you also have the skill set and capabilities to process whatever comes up. That is the absolute power position to be in, because it also means that in the future, whatever life may throw at you or whatever may come your way, you can transmute that. And notice as well how here with the temple we also have this imagery of like the rays coming from the hand, but you see they're coming up against the barrier and they cannot go through here, right? It's very, very like confined. It's no longer going to be the case for you. So that is your boon, that developing that skill set. Of course, also releasing these limitations and allowing yourself to go after what you want naturally. But the superpower is this sovereignty over the subconscious. I love that so much for you. And then we have the return home. So we have the card of the riddle. And the riddle was supported by the hunter. That's so interesting. I think I need to sit with these two for a short moment. Okay, so I think I got it. With the riddle card here, I love that as well. I don't know how many times I've said that in your reading. But listen, like with the riddle card, this card speaks about how there is no right answer. You know, it speaks about a mystery, an unsolvable mystery, a kind of puzzle that can't be solved. And in the context of your reading with the return home, it's basically telling us and you that part of you integrating these kind of energies is that you will learn that there is no perfect way to go about creating what you want to create. There is no answer to this. There are just 500 million different ways to go about things. 500 million different ways that you could do something. And it's like basically, remember in the beginning of the reading, I spoke about being frozen in place because of your potential and the fear of success and the fear of not wanting to make any mistakes, etc. And this is the complete resolvement of that, because you will no longer look for, I'm not going to say that you're not looking for a good way to go about things, because you certainly are, but you are integrating this lesson in such a way that you will no longer allow your search for the perfect way to stop you and freeze you in place and freeze you into a place of non-action. That is the energy that this riddle card speaks of. You will allow yourself to pick one way to go about things, and then you will start building from there. You don't need to know the entire way of creating something. You don't need to know the perfect way to create something, because a perfect way doesn't exist. Like, either you take a route that's more direct, or you take a route that's a bit more scenic, and depending on how scenic and where it goes, you might have different experiences along the way, but that's it. That's all it is. Because you will reach your destination anyway. And because of that, there is a softening of this kind of energy. This is part of this integration of no longer trying to find the most perfect thing to do, to go about things. The most perfect way to unfold your potential, because there is a very, very deep trust that you're developing throughout this. Deep trust in your intuition that tells you that it's time to go and create something. Deep trust with yourself of whatever comes my way, I'm able to handle it. I'm able to transmute whatever roadblocks might appear. And because of that, there is no longer the need to find the most perfect way, because if you know where you want to go, you trust yourself, and you know whatever challenges you might face, you can handle them, then hell yeah, it's time to go on this journey. Hell yeah, it's time to build. Right? That's the kind of energy. And with the hunter, with this horse, there is this card of freedom. And I mean, it says the hunter in combination with the riddle, it just reiterates what I just spoke of, where you're no longer hunting for the most perfect way to go about things, when there is no perfect way. That's literally what this riddle card speaks of. There is no perfect way to do anything. There's no perfect thing that exists. It's just like different ways of going about things. So this like hunt for finding the most perfect thing, the most perfect way, comes to an end. And at the same time, like I said, with this horse, the first word that I heard when I looked at this card for you was freedom. And it's just like freedom into the light. You see that the horse is sort of like running into the light. There's a lot of freedom on your end, or happening as an integration process on your end, in your mind space, and also in your life at a larger scale, because you are removing these restrictions. The restrictions and limitations from your minds, which also then allows you to move in completely new ways, in different ways, and just allow yourself to explore. There's a freedom in this exploration, different ways of going about things. And it's also like this feeling, if you are going down one way in one direction, in one particular way, you are allowing yourself the grace and freedom to readjust and change the way in which you go in that direction as well, So there's like an opening happening. Freedom. Freedom is the best way for me to put that. So that's part of the integration process for you, of your return back home, and how going on this journey changes fundamentally the way in which you're moving throughout your life. Because these are like really big energies for a full year, I wanted to give you something a bit more, not tangible necessarily, but something that is a bit closer to where you are right now. So a bit closer. Bring it back to the call, basically. And I did shuffle a deck off camera, and we will pull one last message for you that I will read from the guidebook. Okay, so my beautiful spirit guides of my lovely pile number 2s, what closing message do you have for them? And please give me only one card. What closing message do you have for them? What closing message? Okay. See, I knew that there was going to be more than one. That's why I said, give me one card, and they gave you 2. Okay, I will take both, of course. Oh, wow. Okay, so we have held, sureness of the soil, unseen help, support, and community. And we have rose without thorns. You have a right to your joy, peace, and sweetness of life. So I will let me read both of them actually. Come on, I have the time for this. Hailed, sureness of the soil, unseen help, support, and community. When times are turbulent, to keep ourselves steady, we need something to hold on to. When things are crumbling all around us, we must find something we can count on that won't budge. Deep roots to hold us steady when the winds of change come blowing. A supportive community around us. When we leave home, we must find something to hold us. When our lover leaves, we must find something to hold us. When the job ends, we must find something to hold us. When our parents die, we must find something to hold us. When we think there's nothing holding us, it's an invitation to find new supportive ground. This is where we can discover the sureness of the soil, the holding of the roots, and reach out to our community for extra holding. We were never meant to grow on this earth alone. Sometimes life rips from us what we cling to the most, or perhaps we cling to it for we can feel the cycles of change coming. Yet in the darkness of our longest, darkest night, we discover that it's in the empty spaces that we can be reached and held the most. It's in these that we discover a holding that we didn't know before, and we discover that what we thought was a tomb is actually a womb. You're being called to trust that the Great Mother has got you, to trust in the sureness of her soil, to trust the process of what's unfolding and that you're not going through this alone. Soul inquiry. How can you call in more support in your life? And what is holding you right now? And I find it very interesting that this card spoke about leaving home, because with the village, that's leaving home. Leaving that kind of mindset, this kind of guidelines, even if it's just in your mind, even if you're physically not in the same space as them anymore, that's leaving home and creating a new home and creating new supportive grounds. I love that. And then we have rose without thorns. Rose without thorns. You have a right to your joy, peace, and sweetness of life. Most roses have thorns that protect the plant. When you walk past, it's so easy to get caught on these spiky stems, as if the thorns themselves are an initiation for the observer to get to the breathtaking beauty and scent of the queen of all flowers in full bloom. However, there are a small number of roses that are, unlike most, possessing few or no thorns, and that's what this card is all about. The rose without thorns is an invitation to dive straight into the sweetness of your life, to rest into the softness, to enjoy the delicious fragrance, to rest in and relish what it means to be currently alive in this body, to embrace all the beauty and bliss that life has to offer. You have a right to your joy, and the rose without thorns wants you to take every ounce of it in right now, to celebrate and lose yourself in the sweetness of your life. This is the rare moment in time of deep peace and enjoyment. You're being called to taste all that it has to offer, to drink it all in. You deserve every single drop. You've worked for this moment. Embrace it now with open arms. It's safe for you to enjoy this, to welcome this, to embody all of this. And while life is ever changing and forever inviting us to grow, right now your lesson is to be in the light of it all. Rose transmission. I have a right to my joy. I appreciate and drink in the sweet nectar of my life. And I find it very interesting. I briefly saw, as I was reading this, that my cards didn't want to focus. It only wanted to focus on the king energy, right? Right there. You are this king. You are this king energy. And with this sweetness as well, you deserve every drop. It's safe for you to enjoy this. I feel like this feeling of it's safe for you to enjoy this, it's safe for you to have this, is also, at this core of allowing yourself to dream. And that's the reading that I have for you today, my beautiful pile number 2s. There will be 2 extra resources coming your way. The first one is an EFT tapping session. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment. If it's out already, you will find it in the pinned comment down below. And with that said, have a fantastic new year. And can you believe the rudeness of my camera dying with my last word? My last sentence? I saw that was running low, but I was like, I can get this one sentence out. Guess I didn't. Anyway, my beautiful pile number 2s. I wanted to say, have a beautiful year, and maybe you can come back to this reading at the end of this year and see how this played out in your life. I'd be so curious to hear what was going on, what you uncovered along this way. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and take care. Bye. If you felt drawn to the box card or to the celestite crystal, welcome to your reading, my lovely pile number 3s. Before we get into the reading, let me talk a little bit about the setup that we got going on here and the structure of the reading. So like I said, we will look at your hero's journey, and we're going to look at your hero's journey in 5 parts. The first card you've already seen and picked from is the call. This is basically the inspiration or the irritation that gets you going on this journey, the thing that you want to change, or like the inspiration that gets you on this journey. We have a card for the threshold. It is a depiction of the energy that has been holding you back and has been holding you in place, a threshold of the thing that you're afraid of that, keeps you frozen in place. And this is an energy that has been present in your life for a while, and you've been repeatedly running up against this kind of threshold. So we're going to look at that. We have the ordeal here, and the ordeal is the shadow energy that is lurking underneath it all. So this is basically the aspect where the healing takes place, where the challenge is conquered. That is the energy, the shadow energy, what's lying underneath it. We have the card of the boon. What are you gaining through this journey? And let me also say, with the boon card, it's not about a physical manifestation. We're not going to look at, basically, you're not going to walk around and find $1 million lying around somewhere. That's not the nature of this reading today, but this is about the energy shift. And the energy shift is important because the energy shift predates any kind of physical change in your life, any kind of physical manifestation. So, this is the root of it. Enough said. And then we have the return back home, because when you've been on a journey and you come back home, it's time to integrate what you learned. It's time to integrate your experiences, and this is what this is going to be about. All right, so for starters, let's look at the first 3 cards. So the call, the threshold, and the ordeal, and then we're going to look at these ones. I'm going to show you the box again, because this is the card that describes your call, the inspiration / irritation that got you or gets you on this new journey, this new year. And then we have for you the threshold with arrows. And then for you, we got 2 cards here, but they came out also here, but they came out as one message. So the main message is the energy of the starborn. And this message is supported by, okay, that's powerful, the destroyer. Let me take a few moments to look at your cards and piece it together. Let's start this off with the call with the box. What's interesting about the box in this particular deck is that the box speaks about the overarching archetypal energy of being in a box. To some degree, like all of us are inside of a box, maybe small, maybe big, but we are constantly outgrowing this box. And this box speaks about some kind of confines, some kind of structure of thoughts and beliefs that is keeping us in place, that is keeping us moving. Keeping us moving sounds like a paradox, but stay with me for a moment. That is sticking with us as we are moving through life, and that dictates the way that our life is going. With this being in the position of the irritant or the inspiration of wanting to go on this journey, I feel that there is an energy of rigidity present, of wanting to break free, wanting to break out from some specific confines that you are finding yourself in. And I just heard the words mass consciousness as I just looked at the light in here as well. Okay, so the confines that you are wanting to break out of are of mass consciousness. All right, it's really interesting. Actually, yeah, let me continue, and I'm sure we're going to circle back a bit to the box. Because with this mass consciousness, the card of Eros is very interesting, because Eros, in this guidebook, Eros speaks about sensuality, about lust, and about desire. And when I picked this card, or when this card flew out, is more like it, I heard the words projection. And when it comes to mass consciousness and desire, you see here she's holding a diamond in between her lips. What is desirable from a mass consciousness standpoint is very much grounded in the material realm, very much grounded in trying to beat the game, so to speak, trying to beat the capitalistic game, trying to gain a lot of wealth. It's grounded in the scarcity mindset of trying to find comfort in the security in the material surroundings that you can cultivate in your life, so it speaks about a specific kind of home, specific kind of car, specific kind of job, specific kind of money in your bank account, because with that comes a specific kind of control. And the desire for that as well is often a wish for a very luxurious kind of lifestyle, which brings me back to this kind of diamond, and with this projection, remember I said that this card is a representation of the threshold. It's the very thing that has been holding you back from going on this journey. I think part of the thought structure that you have when it comes to breaking outside of this box and unsubscribing from mass consciousness. I'm smiling here because they said unsubscribing from mass consciousness. It sounds so funny. It's a very good depiction to give me, but yeah, anyway. So one aspect that keeps you from unsubscribing from this mass consciousness is this fear of not knowing what comes after. It's this fear of going so far against the grain that you don't know what expects you. And particularly because mass consciousness is so focused on the security in the material realm, there is some fear on your end of basically going broke and having nothing. That's a fear that's coming through when it comes to this. It's like the fear of when it comes to the way that everyone else is handling their lives and like mass consciousness, I know what the guidelines are. I sort of know what the rules are. I kind of know how the game works, and I may not like it and I may not feel comfortable there. I know how it works, and this feeling of I sort of know how it works, and I can kind of like find my way around that, gives you a sense of security that you are sometimes unwilling to give up, because stepping outside of mass consciousness naturally, and you know this, means that everything in your life is changing. Your approach to every single thing is changing. And yeah, this is like very much tied to this feeling of there will be nothing there for me. That's a fear. Like, there will be nothing there for me. I will not be taken care of. And this goes back to the socialization conditioning that you have received throughout mass consciousness, I mean, outcasts, I will say, are not looked upon very kindly, and there are very strong ideas depicted when it comes to someone who is outside of the norm, and their social status, what they can achieve in life, etc. There's a very strong narrative surrounding that. I will say that this is not necessarily true. Just dropping that here as a little side note, first off, because I know we will go a bit deeper into that as we go along your journey here, but there is this fear surrounding this idea. There's then also this fear of what's it called? Because I said about the projection here, there is this fear, mirroring is the word, there is this fear that when you allow yourself to break free from that societally speaking as well, the way that your life is going to turn out or develop, that your life will basically mirror this projection that these people have, that the mass consciousness has. So all of the like negative, all of the negative stigmata that are connected to living a life outside of the mass consciousness, there is a fear that every bad thing that is depicted when that will happen to you. On the second front as well, with the projection, there's also a fear of the rejection. There's a fear of the way that people will react to you differently. So even though you want to break free from these kind of constraints, and you know that mass consciousness is not where you are at yourself from your own consciousness level, there's some fear of stepping outside of that, which I understand. So let me make this very clear, I'm not blaming you whatsoever. It is really hard, and I understand that. Because depending on where you live as well, it can be more or less easy, all the way up to incredibly hard and even dangerous to step outside of that. And I'm not saying that to feed your fear further, it's just a fact, and I mean, you know that, right? You know when it is a fear that is a figment of your mind, or whether it's a fear that is rooted in reality. Only reason I'm laughing is because reality as well is shifting, right? But I think we will get to that a bit later. But anyway, that's the challenge, that's the threshold that you've been running up against, is always this kind of fear that has kept you back. Fear of the unknown. And with your ordeal, the shadow that's lurking underneath with the Starborn and the Destroyer. First of all, Starborn card is the energy of the starseed. So you are a starseed. And massively so, you see here, there's the egg, and you see how the egg is cracking open. That's what's lurking underneath. The reason why you would like to unsubscribe from mass consciousness fully is because you have been and are continuing to wake up to your starseed origin and recognizing that from a consciousness perspective, you are not from Earth. You are not from Earth. Your consciousness comes from a different place of the cosmos. And as I'm saying that, I have a video that I have not made yet, but I got the download for it, where I want to speak a little bit about what that means when your consciousness is not from here. So maybe this is the boost that I need to make that video, because I have been a bit procrastinating on that. I will leave a note for myself to put that in your extra resources in the description box. So if it's out already by the time that you're watching this, you will find it down below there, all right? But let me get back to the topic at hand. Your consciousness is not from here. Your consciousness is from a different place. With the destroyer here, and you see the energy here looks quite dark, but you see there are two lights in the center here, and you see that there are the two eyes that are seeing through the darkness. This is the ordeal. This is what's lurking underneath as a shadow energy, is your awakening to the starseed origin. And alongside this comes a complete disillusionment when it comes to mass consciousness. There is a destruction happening on that front, where you are questioning every single thing that you have known to be true, from history to the way that relationships work, to the way that the workforce works. Everything is up for renewal, basically, on the chopping block to be renewed, every single thing. And there is, with this destroyer as well, there is a fear of this old breaking away fully. And this comes back to what I already spoke of, how with this like Eros card, there is a fear of not knowing what comes after. And there is almost this feeling of, it's a black void for me. I can't look into this. I can't see what's on the other side. And this is the shadow that's lurking. Your starseed origin that wants to be seen, that wants to be acknowledged, that is breaking open. And with this breaking open of you recognizing and understanding that your soul and consciousness come from a different place. I mean, listen, understanding that or like hearing that is one thing, but having a lived experience of that to some degree, because I feel like there might be some past life memories also wanting to come through to you along this journey, along this year, is a whole nother story. Because up until that point, it's sort of a nice abstract concept to have, where it sounds nice, but it gets very personal incredibly fast, speaking from experience here. And it can be a shock to wake up to this. It can be a shock to wake up to certain things that you have lived, and memories returning, even if it's not necessarily not a physical memory, but how can I say that? You can have a memory when it comes to a certain emotional state or an emotional environment that you've been in that is not accompanied by images. So, you can remember something without seeing a scene. And even on that front, you will get these little memories that are going to be emotional for a while, like emotional memories coming back, before you will start to see some visual memories. And that in itself changes your entire worldview, because it opens up a lot of possibilities, also opens up about 1 million questions of how our universe works. How is this possible? Where am I from? Are there other people here that are like this? Answer is yes, there are. I'm one of them. We are quite a few here. And this is this destroyer. There's like the old completely falls away. The old completely falls away. Cracking open and breaking apart at the same time. The old breaking apart at the same time. That's the ordeal. That's the challenge. And I think that you know this. You know that right now in this moment, you know that if you go on this journey, if you allow yourself to break out of this box, if you allow yourself to unsubscribe from mass consciousness and actually explore your own level of consciousness and who you are, what that means, what your beliefs are, what your experiences are and have been, and this also changes what you can create in this world, by the way. I think you know that this is a change that is irreversible. This is a change that you cannot undo. You cannot unsee. You cannot unknow this kind of information. And it will unequivocally change the whole course of your life and the way that you live and do anything. Think about anything, perspective shifts on every area of your life, every level affected by this. And I think subconsciously you know this, and that's why this hesitation is kind of so strong, because even though you don't fit right now, because also with the box, like I feel like you know you don't fit, and that's exactly why you feel like, okay, I think I need to break open, I need to break free from this because this is not who I am. So there is this awareness for that already, very, very, very strong inside of yourself. But also it's like you kind of figured out how to work with that, you know, and going on this journey and letting everything fall apart. This is very, very tough for the human ego. Very, very hard for the human ego to go into this space of complete and utter openness and identity shifting around a lot. And the ego basically doesn't really have anything to hold on to anymore. So on that front as well, like to the mind and to the ego self, this is a very dangerous topic to the ego because it loses its grip completely. And because also like ego and status, you know, there's a reason why mass consciousness is striving for all of these material riches. And when you unsubscribe from that entirely as well, it's like the ego doesn't really know what to strive for anymore. But first of all, the ego, let me tell you, the ego is a superpower in itself. It will always find something to strive for. Don't worry about that. But on another front as well, remember how I said that there is this fear that if you allow this to fall away, that you will have nothing anymore in your life. And that is not the case. That is not true whatsoever. That's just a projection at the moment of the ego, a projection that is fueled and grounded in the mass consciousness of what will happen if you do things differently. That's actually not the case, because when you start to authentically live in accordance with your consciousness and with your self, with your values, and you're in alignment with your soul, things start magically happening in a very, very beautiful way. But, you know, it's a process. It's not going from one day to the next, because things are moving a lot slower in our physical world than they do on the energetics. So, you know, keep that in mind. But you will not be without. Let's have a look at the other cards, and then I think I want to come back to this a bit, but let's look what you have as well. All right, we're going to stop right here. So this is the boon. The womb card is your boon. It's your treasure that you will gather along this journey, the treasure that you will uncover. And actually, when I heard, or when I saw the womb card first falling out of your deck, I heard the words rebirth. So one treasure that you will receive is the rebirth. You will be rebirthed. That means, remember how I spoke about the destruction, which is also kind of interesting that you have the destruction, and then you have the womb, which is a fertile ground or a fertile space of a fertile protected space that allows you to evolve, morph, grow, and change into something new. It's the image that they're giving me of a moth, for example, or a butterfly that is in their chrysalis. And, you know, when a butterfly or moth is in there, they actually turn into full-on liquid. They liquefy themselves, full-on liquid that gets reformed into the butterfly or into the moth before it then emerges. And it's a space of pure and utter creation as well. So while yes, there is a void, or it feels like a void, because if you can imagine being in a womb, you know, it's dark, you're surrounded by the nutritious water, basically. Nutritious water? No. If you think about the womb, you are in a dark and protected space. And when I say dark, I mean the cozy kind of dark when you want to go to sleep. You know, it's a warm, protected space for you to reform yourself, to change yourself. And all of the nourishment that you need while you're in the womb, you receive it. Right? You receive it through the umbilical cord, and you're held safely in place by the water surrounding you. That's the kind of imagery that this card brings forth. And to have this card as your treasure or your boon from going through this is such a powerful card to get. Because in a way, this card is a representation of pure potential. Because we don't actually see what you're growing into yet. We just see that there is rebirth happening on all levels and that you are nurtured and nourished throughout. You will be taken care of as you go through this journey. Everything you need will be delivered to you. That is what this card speaks of. Which then also brings us in direct opposition to the card of the threshold, where there's this fear that you will not be taken care of, and you got the direct reassurance here with the womb that no, actually, you know, it's happening. Like, you are taken care of, you are safe, you are protected. And I also find it interesting that in this card, color-wise, we have the red, and we have a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange, and a little bit of the pink here, or the rose color. And the color red is in the chakra system connected to the root chakra. And the root chakra is connected to topics of feeling safe and feeling secure, having your having your most basic physical needs met. I say financial slipped out, but financial needs, I mean, we live in this world, we need money to survive, etc., right? So this is taken care of. Massive also, it's not just that it's taken care of, I said that before, but it goes beyond that. The rebirth that's happening is that your sense of security is shifting throughout this. You will no longer find your security primarily in the physical realm, primarily in the material things that you can surround yourself with, but your security will come from a very, very deep place of you basically becoming a master manifester throughout this. Because when you know your energy and you are in alignment with it, and you can control your own energy in that sense, and you know what's true and what's not, you have a direct gateway into the manifestation vortex, because you're then able to understand the universal laws and also work with them to your favor, in your favor. To make this a bit more tangible for you, because that was quite abstract, to make this a bit more tangible, the difference between this is when it comes to manifestation, for example, of someone who is sitting down, doing, I don't know, what kind of action could I give you? Doing lots of physical actions in order to try to manifest something, you know, action first, and then the thing might appear. Your approach will change from this physical action first to energetic action first. What I mean by that is that your manifestation power will change to you changing your energy, adjusting your energy first before you take physical action. And that can look like unsubscribing from the mass consciousness aspect of, let's say, creating wealth, because that's a topic that has been coming up, right? Unsubscribing from the way that wealth can be created through the mass consciousness, the lens of mass consciousness that, is lots of action, hustle, grind, that kind of culture, and subscribing to what your own consciousness is bringing forth for you. That would mean feeling abundant, creating feelings of abundance inside your mind, body, emotions. That can go hand in hand with doing some visualizations to keep this feeling active in your life. That can go into doing some sleep meditations to further program your subconscious to unlimited and abundant wealth. And once you got these energetics right, you sit in meditation one day, let's say, and you'll receive an idea as an inspiration of an action that you can take that will lead you into the direction of this unlimited wealth. It can be as simple as receiving the numbers of the lottery, to win the lottery that week. It can be something like, oh, maybe I should start a YouTube channel, or, I could start a business with this person and I could work in this kind of field, or I could do this kind of project. You get the idea. And it's not that action is not involved. Action is involved, but energy comes first. And because energy comes first, you allow yourself to receive the best idea where you will can give the least amount of effort of not trying to push it in. And that does not mean that you will not work hard. It's just if you're trying to force some kind of outcome into an existence, this requires a lot more energy versus I'm receiving an inspired idea and I'm following that inspired idea. Because for the first one, trying to force something into existence, the energetics are not aligned. It's not in alignment with you. The universe doesn't have it lined up for you. It's not meant for you, and you're going against a lot of energies, even your own alignment. Which then means that not only are you working really, really hard to try and create this project, but you're also working against yourself to an extent. This is so exhausting. Hustle, grind, exhaustion, that kind of energy. And if you're going the energy first route, you are taking care of your energy, preparing yourself to be in a receptive mode so that the universe can, alongside yourself, prepare everything, make everything ready for you, and then give you the cue. It's almost this idea of, because they're showing me an image right now, it's almost this idea of you being in a theater play and you're standing behind the curtain and you're waiting for your cue. And when your cue comes, you go out. You already have a crowd sitting there that paid for the tickets to see you, versus someone who is trying to build an audience outside somewhere on a street corner. Not to bash anyone who's working outside on a street corner to try and bring entertainment to people. Okay, that's not what this is about. It's just a difference in going about this kind of energy, that they want to bring through. That's the best image that they can give me right now, I feel like. Yeah. So that is your boon. That is your treasure. Being able to mold your energy, being able to be in this womb state, in this creation state at will, which is very, very powerful, because from that point forward, you can change everything in your life. Everything in your life with a certain amount of ease, a lot more ease than what mass consciousness prescribes to you. And for your return back home, you also got 2 cards. So the main energy, oh my God, the main energy you got is the card of the mentor. And the card of the mentor is, is supported by the card of the king. You could not get more. Actually, I can think of one card, but this is very close to getting the absolute jackpot when it comes to powerful cards for your return back home. Because, first of all, even just when you look at the screen for a moment, you see that in between the egg that's right here, it shines through. And I mean, owls are also hatched from an egg. How cool is that? That you literally have sort of the evolution of going from an egg to a fully adult, powerful owl. That's one thing I want to mention. But the second thing is, with this mentor here, I want you to notice the fact that this mentor is flying through space. Up through space, outer space, through the air, which not only gives us and you a sense of freedom, there's a sense of freedom present and when you're returning home. But the card of the mentor, of course, with the owl speaks of so much wisdom, bringing so much wisdom back home, integrating so much wisdom into your own being. And with the king card here, this speaks about a new kind of sovereignty, about a new kind of inner authority when it comes to your life and the way that you can create it. There is a freedom happening here, or freedom enveloping your entire being, that I found it really difficult to describe and put into words, because it's like throughout this journey you will not only uncover your cosmic ties and learn about some past lives that you've lived and understand the universe at a much deeper level, and also be in a position where you can teach that to others, because you know that about yourself and about your history, your own story so very strongly. You are taking your own leadership role for yourself in your own life, yes, of course, but for you particularly, I feel like it is also for others. Because that's what the king does. He is a leader energy. And the best kind of kings, or the best kind of leaders, are the ones that carry a lot of wisdom. And to be quite honest with you, I feel like having more leaders that are starseeds, or that have some starseed ties, and more importantly, a consciousness that is so developed that they can embody that fully as they live here, might be exactly what we need. Because through your expanded consciousness, you are to some extent immune to the regular power plays. It's no longer interesting. And that means that to an extent you can't really be bribed. I'm smiling here because I have difficulty describing this, but it's like you can't be bought. There is a very strong authority of knowing what's right, what's not right, knowing what's grounded in unconditional love, and that is what you find yourself in, and what you ground yourself and everything you're creating in is grounded in this unconditional love, in being in service of the universe. It's not being in service of some people or a particular nation or a particular company. It's you are understanding yourself to be in service and of service to the universe, because you came here with a mission. Part of your mission is to be a leader. Part of your mission is to teach. And so when your authority comes from that different kind of place, and you understand yourself as being part of the bigger whole, naturally the decisions that you are taking are not coming from the ego. Naturally, your decisions that you're taking are coming from a place of what can serve the highest good of all. And that in itself is the contrary energy to what we spoke of in the beginning with mass consciousness. And that's also why I said we need people like this here. So I am actually incredibly happy that you are here listening to this reading right now and that you are going on this journey to uncover your wisdom and to become the mentor that you were always meant to be, to become the kind of leader that you were always meant to be. Because the very reason that you are here right now is because you see this light that's here in the box? This is the source of you. This is this cosmic source code that you carry within yourself that wants to crack open, that wants to break free, that wants to soar. You are, even though it may not feel like it right now at this moment, but believe me when I say that you are meant to run up against this border. You are meant to run up against this edge right now at this threshold. It's time. It is time for you right now. It is time for you to unsubscribe. You needed to be where you were for the time that you were there. It was necessary for your development. So don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay. When you came here, within your blueprint of your soul and in your higher self, in your body, there were certain seeds planted that were decoded and programmed to be activated right at this time. So you are not late to the game or to the party. You are 100% on time. And the time to start working on this is now. And even after these 12 months, it will be difficult for you to say, but give it 5 years and look back and you will understand, because you will see what changed in the world, what changes happened, and you will see why your light was exactly needed in this time in a leadership position. Give it a bit of time to see it. And hold the faith, hold the vision until then. So that is what your spirit guides wanted to share as well about this. And let me see, do they want to share more about this journey, or did I cover all of the points? They just said, you got it. All right, I do have one closing message for you, because this is very big energies, quite abstract, I will say. So I wanted to bring a message through for you that you need to hear right now. And for that reason, I have pre-shuffled one deck already, and we will pull it together on camera now. All right, so my beautiful guides of my lovely pile number 3s, what closing message would you like them to hear? Okay. All right. We got 2. I will read both of these from the guidebook. I'm fine with that. Oh my God. All right. I say oh my God because I love this card so much. So we have the card of the bloom. Creations realized right time, harvest, and celebrate. If it wants to focus. Yeah, all right. And then we have after the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy, it's over, and acceptance. And like I said, I will read both from the guidebook. And by the way, just now as I opened this, I heard a song playing for you, and it was Kissed by a Rose. From Seal, is it, I believe, right? All right, so maybe you want to give that song a listen as well. So we have for you here the bloom. Creations realize the right time, harvest, and celebrate. This card is all about reaping the reward for what you've created. Dreams manifested into matter. It's a confirmation that you're currently in the bloom phase of your cycle of growth, or that you're about to be. The bloom is when we are at our fullest. The sun is shining, things are bountiful, and we are at our most expansive. The deep roots of our dreams have been realized. We are blooming. We've made it to where we long to be. We're likely visible and out in the world. Life is often adventurous, energetic, positive, and good. This card comes with a message to embrace and enjoy the moment. Celebrate what you've created. Enjoy what has come to you. Revel in it. Bask in the beauty. Drink in the nectar. Be nourished by the sweet scent of what's now in the physical. Enjoy the harvest. Stop and smell the roses of your life. Life is cyclical, and the bloom won't be at its fullest forever. Your work through the seasons of your life has brought you to this point. Don't take the bloom for granted. Enjoy it while it's here, but don't hold on to it for too long either. Let it be what it is in its fullest. And when the time comes to return the petals to the earth, and you will know when that is, do that as well. Rose transmission. I let the blooming happen. I resist the urge to hold back. I celebrate all that I've created and enjoy my moment of blooming completely and fully. And I want to say, aside from the song that I heard that I think you should listen to, honestly, I want to say that while from your end at this moment it might not feel like a celebration, from the perspective of your spirit guides, it is. Because you are at a moment where all of these seeds are emerging to the surface of your consciousness, where you are allowing yourself to see and experience this expansion of who you really are. And it takes a lot to get here. It does take a lot to get here. There are so many things that you needed to unlearn and barriers to run up against, and fighting this veil of forgetfulness on the subconscious. It takes a lot to get to this point where you are in a space of not only allowing this expansion to take place, but also to tap into your soul history, into your cosmic soul history. It's not easy to hold a perspective as broad and open as that one. As humans, we like to have things more orderly and simpler. And opening that door is a cause for celebration, because there are a lot of people who would not be able to hold that space for it and still continue to live a human life. And that's where this creativity and this celebration is coming from. That was a little side message from your spirit guides for you. And we have after the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy, it's over, and acceptance. After the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy, it's over, and acceptance. There is something very special and sacred about the moment after it stops raining. The atmosphere has released all that it was holding, and in turn, the earth has been cleansed, replenished, and nourished. It's a similar feeling to the moment after we stop crying. As those salty healing waters fall, they activate oxytocin and endorphins, which create a shift in how we feel. What was once overwhelming now seems possible, and while we may not know it consciously, noticeable growth will soon follow. After the rain is all about hope, healing, beginnings, and endings. Emotions are soothed, broken hearts are on the mend, times of trial are over. Mercy can be felt. There is a moment of relief. A new, encouraging silver lining can now be made out in the distance. What's been challenging and difficult has or is about to ease up. If you've been going through a challenging time, this card is here to reassure you that things are about to ease. You've been going through the worst of it, and now hope is here. Hope is here. These past weeks, months, or even years haven't been straightforward. They've likely asked you to dig deep and endure hardships that have tested you, but now at long last, there are smooth seas ahead. What you've learned and how you've grown can never be taken from you, and now it's time to enjoy the warmth of the blessings that life has in store for you. Glorious new beginnings are now possible. Soul inquiry. What are you ready to release? And I want to keep this card here for a moment, also because it fits so well with the light of our candle. This is exactly why this is a celebration to your spirit guides and why they're asking you to celebrate this moment in time right now as well, is because you've been through this hard part. Allowing it to fall away and the new to come into being is not going to be as hard as trying to fit yourself in a space you don't belong. Because as you are shifting and as you are allowing yourself to expand, more and more people that are aligned with who you actually are also going to come with you on your path. I mean, being a leader by definition means that there is a collective, there is a tribe here for you. And you will build that and you will meet them. And that is why this card of hope is here. Even though my camera has trouble focusing on it at the moment. But is there anything else that you would like me to bring through? I just heard the words no. So, my beautiful pile number 2, this is your hero's journey in the next 12 months. It would be super interesting for me if you were to come back after a year, if you remember, of course, and share a little bit about what happened throughout. I find that always very interesting, particularly when it's like a year-long spread, right? It's a long period of time. And there are 2 extra resources coming your way connected to this reading. One will be an EFT tapping session to help you release uncomfortable emotions, memories, and sensations that are connected to the old. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment, Usui Reiki treatment, to help you release the old and bring in the new. If any of these are out already, you will find them in a pinned comment down below. And if you're watching this as it goes live, it comes out later this week and maybe beginning next week, depending on how I fit it into my schedule. That is all I have for you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I hope I see you soon again. Bye.